Imagine speaking just a few simple sentences that make any woman feel truly seen. So seen that she wonders who you are. No flashy lines, no desperate effort. Just words spoken with calm confidence and deep purpose. Picture a world where attraction isn't about trying to impress, but about pausing long enough to be heard in a way that cuts through the noise. Today, you'll discover how to do this using powerful, Stoic-inspired phrases that spark curiosity, create a connection, and leave an emotional imprint she can't ignore. Introduction to Stoicism in Attraction. Most people hear the word Stoic and instantly think of someone emotionally cold, distant, or numb. But the real essence of Stoicism is not about shutting down feelings. It's about mastering them. It's about recognizing your emotions, understanding them, and then choosing how you respond. This is the foundation of emotional clarity, and it becomes your most powerful tool when it comes to attraction. Because while others are reacting, guessing, or performing for attention, a Stoic man remains grounded. He isn't chasing impressions. He is intentional with his presence. And that, in today's overstimulated world, is magnetic. You see, most men speak just to be heard. They talk rapidly, hoping something they say will catch her interest. They throw out compliments, stories, and humor like darts in the dark, praying one of them will stick. But very few speak to be felt. Very few speak with the calm, confident understanding of someone who doesn't need to prove anything, because he already knows who he is. That's the heart of Stoicism and communication. It's not about more words, it's about more weight behind fewer words. When you carry yourself with the quiet strength that Stoicism teaches, people feel it before you even speak. And when you do speak, your words hit differently. They don't just fill silence, they offer meaning. You pause where others rush. You observe when others try to impress. You respond when others react. These simple shifts send a powerful message. You're not seeking validation from the outside world. You are already rooted inside your own. Women, in particular, are incredibly attuned to emotional energy. They may not always be able to describe it, but they feel it. They sense when a man is scattered, trying too hard, or insecure. And they also sense when a man is deeply present, calm, and self-contained. That's why Stoic attraction is so potent. It bypasses the surface-level checklists and goes straight to the emotional core. It invites curiosity. It creates a feeling that's hard to name, but impossible to forget. Imagine being the kind of man who, just by being fully present, shifts the atmosphere in a room. You don't need loud entrances or bold gestures. You walk in quietly, but with intention. You make eye contact, not to dominate, but to connect. When you speak, it's not to fill space, but to offer depth. That kind of presence doesn't need to be announced. It's felt. This is the core principle. Stoic attraction isn't about showing her how great you are. It's about showing her that you don't need to show off at all. And ironically, that's what makes her notice. It's the contrast. While others are performing, you're simply being. While others seek her attention, you already have yours. That grounded energy changes the way she experiences you. Instead of thinking about whether she finds you attractive, she starts wondering why she feels drawn to you in the first place. When you embody Stoicism, your words start to sound different. They carry weight. Even a simple phrase like, "That's interesting," becomes impactful when it's delivered with focused attention and calm sincerity. And the more you practice this, speaking with intention, listening with presence, and acting from clarity, the more you become unforgettable. Not because of what you said, but because of how you made her feel. So, understand this. The man who can remain calm when others are uncertain, who can speak deliberately when others rush, who can ground himself emotionally when others lose control, that man is rare. That man is magnetic. That man does not chase attraction. He becomes it. And that's what Stoicism unlocks. Not emptiness, not distance, but depth. Emotional depth that reaches others not through volume, but through vibration. That's the power of grounded presence. That's the starting point of unshakable attraction. Emotional intelligence versus external validation. In the world we live in, women hear compliments all the time. Some are polite, some are cheesy, and many are empty. You're beautiful. You're hot. You look amazing. These kinds of compliments are everywhere. They roll off the tongue easily. But they're also easy to forget. Why? Because they're surface level. They say nothing about who she is, only about what she looks like. They don't require observation, presence, or insight, and because of that, they often don't leave a lasting impression. A woman may smile and say thank you, but inside, she likely forgets it the moment it's over. It's not because she's ungrateful, it's because she's heard it so many times before that it no longer feels special. Now imagine instead that you looked at her, not in a rush, not trying to impress her, but really looked, and after a moment of real presence, you said, "You have a unique way about you. I like that." These words are calm. They don't try too hard, but they say something much deeper. You're not complimenting her looks. You're noticing her presence, her essence. You're saying that there's something about the way she carries herself, something about the way she speaks, or the way she interacts with the world that caught your attention. That kind of recognition is rare. It's unexpected. And because it touches something personal in her, it lands differently. It doesn't just hit the ears, it hits the heart. That's the difference between external validation and emotional intelligence. External validation is when you praise her looks, her outfit, her makeup, things she already knows others will notice. It may be kind, but it's shallow. Emotional intelligence, on the other hand, is about slowing down and observing who she is beyond the surface. It's about tuning into the energy she brings into the room, the way she expresses herself, the way her eyes light up when she talks about something she loves. It's about noticing her, not just seeing her. That kind of attention is powerful, and it tells her something meaningful. I'm not just looking, I'm seeing. When you compliment her with emotional intelligence, you do something unexpected. You bypass her defenses. You skip the walls she's built up from years of shallow praise. Instead of triggering her filters, those mental auto responses that say, "Thanks, but I've heard that before," you create a moment of quiet tension, a moment where she pauses, a moment where she feels that someone finally noticed something real in her. And that moment changes everything. Think about how often someone truly makes you feel seen, not just noticed, not just acknowledged, but truly seen. For most people, it doesn't happen often, so when it does, it leaves an emotional imprint. She might not fully understand why your words stayed with her, but she'll think about them later. She'll think about the calm tone you used, the way you paused before saying it, the fact that you weren't trying to impress her, but simply sharing a quiet truth you noticed. And that memory will make her feel something rare and real. This is what makes a compliment unforgettable. It's not the words, it's the awareness behind them. Emotional intelligence is the ability to feel what others feel, to sense what matters to them, and to respond in a way that adds value instead of noise. You're not saying, "I think you're attractive." You're saying, "I notice something in you that others miss." That distinction changes the conversation completely. It builds trust. It opens emotional doors. Women are often tired of being looked at. What they crave is being understood. They long to be seen not just for their beauty, but for their essence, for the things that make them who they are. And when you speak with emotional intelligence, you give them that gift. You speak into their soul, not just their surface. That's how attraction grows, not through loud compliments, but through soft recognition. Not through praise everyone gives, but through insight only you offer. So remember, speak to the soul, not the surface. Praise her depth, not just her dress. Notice her light, not just her lipstick. And when you do, she'll feel something that's becoming increasingly rare in this world. She'll feel seen. And once she feels that with you, she won't want to let go. Phrase 1, you have a unique way about you. I like that. There's something quietly powerful about the way you can pause in a conversation. Look someone in the eyes, not with judgment or analysis, but with presence, and say, "You have a unique way about you. I like that." It's not loud. It's not designed to shock or flatter. It doesn't scream for attention. But that's exactly why it's so effective. In a world full of noise, this phrase lands like silence. And in that silence, meaning is born. Most people go through life unnoticed beyond their surface. Compliments are common, but genuine recognition is rare. So, when you say these words, especially when you say them after really observing her, not just her face or body, but her way, how she speaks, how she pauses, how she lights up when she talks about something she loves, then those words become unforgettable. This isn't about throwing out phrases and hoping one sticks. It's about developing a habit of noticing the small, human, soulful things most people miss. Maybe she's a bit awkward, but she owns it. Maybe she tells stories with wild hand gestures and eyes full of wonder. Maybe she has a subtle sense of humor that slips between the lines. Whatever it is, when you see it, when you really see it, and choose to acknowledge it softly, you tap into something deep inside her. Because now, she doesn't feel like she's being judged or measured or scanned like most people do when they're on dates or trying to impress each other. She feels seen, and not for the things the world usually celebrates, like beauty or style or performance, but for her presence, her essence, her rhythm, that unique way about her. And when you say it, don't rush it. Let the silence around it hold weight. Let the energy between you thicken a little. Say it slowly, like a discovery you just made in real time. Look at her like you just uncovered something valuable. That delivery is everything. It's not scripted, it's sincere. She will hear the words, yes, but more importantly, she'll feel the intent behind them. That's the moment when her heart takes note. She may not react instantly. She may even laugh it off lightly, but later she'll replay it. She'll remember the tone of your voice, the softness in your gaze, the way the world seemed to pause for a second when you said it. This phrase reaches past the ego. It bypasses superficial interaction and sinks quietly into her emotional memory. It opens a subtle loop in her mind, one that will have her wondering, what did he mean by that? What exactly did he see in me? That curiosity becomes emotional tension. And emotional tension, when rooted in respect and presence, is the foundation of attraction that lasts. Not the kind that flares up and burns out, but the kind that deepens with time. What's most important is that when you use this phrase, you're not using it to impress. You're using it because you mean it. Because you noticed something she didn't even realize she was showing. You're reflecting her light back to her, in a world where most people are too busy talking about themselves to notice anyone else. That's why it works. That's why it leaves an imprint. So yes, you could say, "You look amazing tonight," and she might smile and thank you. But if you pause in the middle of a conversation, when she's being real, when she's unfiltered, when she's showing you who she is, and say with calm warmth, "You have a unique way about you. I like that." You've just said 1,000 things in one sentence, and she'll feel every single one. Phrase 2. I like women who know what they want. There is an unmistakable power in a man who knows what he values, and who expresses that quietly but clearly. When you say to a woman, "I like women who know what they want," you're not just complimenting her decisiveness. You're doing something much more powerful. You're reflecting your own emotional clarity, your own maturity, your own deep standard for connection. These words, when said with calm confidence and honest intent, land with surprising impact. Why? Because they flip the dynamic most women are used to. Typically, especially in dating and flirtation, it's the man who tries to win her over. He shows off. He jokes too much. He agrees quickly. He edits himself to seem impressive. And without even realizing it, he places her above himself, like he's auditioning for a part in her life. But when you say, "I like women who know what they want," you're not asking to be chosen. You're quietly saying that you are choosing. You're not asking her to impress you. You're revealing what naturally impresses you: clarity, confidence, and direction. This statement subtly places you in a different position. Not arrogant, not dominant, just clear, just rooted. You're no longer trying to chase her approval. You're calmly revealing that you respect strength in others because you've already built it in yourself. And women feel this distinction instantly. It creates emotional tension, not in a forceful way, but in an intriguing one. She begins to reflect. She starts asking herself silently, "Do I seem like a woman who knows what she wants?" That question opens up a space for her to step into that energy. And that's when something changes. The beautiful part of this phrase is that it's not aggressive. It's not a line. It's not about putting pressure on her. It's about setting a tone, one that signals you're not drawn to indecisiveness or surface level interaction. You're drawn to self-awareness, to emotional presence. You value depth. You respect someone who has vision and values and isn't afraid to stand in them. And when you deliver that line at the right moment, not randomly, but after she shares a bold opinion, makes a decisive choice, or expresses what she desires, it lands as recognition, not challenge. She feels admired, not tested. And that feeling of admiration, rooted in respect, not flattery, makes her feel seen in a new way. What makes this phrase even more magnetic is what it says about you without saying it directly. It tells her you also know what you want. You're not here to waste time. You're not drifting. You're not looking for attention. You're looking for alignment. That quiet sense of direction is incredibly attractive. It signals strength, not the kind that needs to dominate, but the kind that invites trust. Women are naturally drawn to men who are selective, not because they play games, but because they've taken the time to know themselves. When you say, I like women who know what they want, she hears that you are one of those rare men who can match her emotionally. And that's a rare kind of chemistry. You're also doing something rare in the dating space. You're establishing mutual value. You're communicating that this is a two-way connection, that you're not here to win her, you're here to meet her. And if you both align, that's where the magic happens. This instantly raises the emotional quality of the interaction. It's no longer about performing, it becomes about connecting. Real connection rooted in mutual recognition and standards. So, when you say, I like women who know what they want, say it with the calm tone of a man who is centered. Look her in the eyes, not to intimidate but to show presence. Let the words come out naturally, without emphasis or expectation. Let them breathe in the space between you. That stillness around your voice will amplify its impact. She will not forget it. Because in that moment, she didn't just feel noticed, she felt honored. And that is something she will carry with her, long after the conversation ends. Phrase 3. There's something about you I can't quite place, and I like it. When you say to a woman, there's something about you I can't quite place, and I like it, you're not just making a passing comment. You're planting a seed of intrigue so subtle, yet so emotionally gripping, that it takes root in her thoughts almost instantly. This isn't a typical compliment. It's a mystery wrapped in gentle observation. It doesn't pin her down to one quality or label. Instead, it opens her up to wonder, what did he see? And that question, left unanswered, is what lingers. She doesn't walk away with closure. She walks away curious, curious about what you noticed, about how you see her, about the parts of herself she may not even have fully seen. This quiet wonder is where emotional connection begins to grow. What makes this phrase so powerful is its ambiguity. In a world obsessed with definitions, categories, and clarity, a sentence like this feels like a breath of fresh air. It's open-ended. It invites imagination. It allows her to reflect on herself through your eyes, not in a way that pressures her, but in a way that invites her to explore. When you speak this line, you're not trying to dominate the moment. You're not trying to impress her with cleverness. You're speaking from stillness, from a place of genuine interest, as if you've noticed something subtle you can't fully name, but that you truly enjoy. This phrase works because it's rooted in emotional suggestion. It says, without saying, that there's depth to her, that you're sensing something not everyone picks up on, that there's an energy about her that isn't obvious but it's impactful. And the fact that you noticed it makes her feel special in a way she hasn't felt before. Most men only notice the surface. They comment on beauty, outfits, style. But you're noticing the unspeakable, the way she moves through space, the softness in her voice, the intensity behind her quiet moments. That's what you're speaking to. That's what she'll remember. The true magic of this line lies in the pause it creates. Because after you say it, there's nothing more to add. You don't explain it. You don't clarify it. You let it hang in the air like a quiet echo. And in that silence, her thoughts start to swirl. What is it about me that he sees? Was it something I said? Something I did? That spiral of self-reflection draws her closer to you without even realizing why. She's not just thinking about the words. You've made her think about herself through the lens of your attention. That emotional imprint becomes powerful. But this phrase only truly works when it's said with presence. You must look at her, not with intensity, but with interest. Say it slowly, like it's an internal truth that just came to the surface. Not like a line, not like something you rehearsed, but like something you honestly felt and couldn't quite explain. That authenticity will show in your eyes, your voice, your posture, and because of that, she will believe you. She will feel it. Over time, this phrase will echo in her mind. When she's alone, maybe hours or days later, it will come back to her. She'll wonder again, what did he mean? And the fact that she still doesn't know will keep the emotion alive. That's what makes it unforgettable. Not its directness, but its vagueness. Not its clarity, but its tension. Emotional tension isn't about drama, it's about curiosity. And when a woman is emotionally curious about you, she becomes connected, sometimes without even realizing it. So the next time you feel that quiet, unexplained draw towards someone, don't try to analyze it or define it. Just let it speak through this phrase: there's something about you I can't quite place, and I like it. Say it with quiet certainty. Say it like a small truth you trust, and then let it be. Trust that those few words, when spoken with presence and intention, will say more than any rehearsed compliment ever could. And know this: when she walks away, she'll carry your words like a riddle, one she won't stop thinking about. Phrase 4. You remind me of something rare, but I can't figure out what. When you say to a woman, you remind me of something rare, but I can't figure out what, you are offering something so quietly profound, so emotionally layered, that it bypasses surface level interaction entirely. This isn't a flirtation in the usual sense. It isn't about style or charm or clever wordplay. It's about triggering something far deeper, an emotional mystery. And women remember mysteries far longer than they remember explanations. You see, most compliments put a woman in a box. They define her. You're gorgeous. You're smart. You're funny. They label. They complete the thought. But this phrase leaves the thought open. It doesn't finish anything. In fact, it gently begins something. A mental journey she'll take long after the conversation is over. There's a certain weight in calling someone rare. That word alone, when spoken sincerely, carries immense emotional gravity. Rarity implies value, distinction, and uniqueness. It says that she's not common, not like the rest. And yet, you don't clarify why. You don't assign the compliment to her looks, her personality, her voice, or her vibe. You leave it open, and that's the key. Because when you pair rarity with uncertainty, it awakens reflection. She starts to ask, what is it about me that he saw? That self-reflection is where the emotional spark ignites. It's not about feeding her ego. It's about inviting her to see herself through a different lens, your lens. And when she looks through it, she feels new, more layered, more valued. That's the emotional power you create with this phrase. What's even more compelling is that this phrase subtly tells her something about you. It reveals that you don't rush to define things. You live in the nuance. You observe deeply. You feel things that are hard to put into words. And you're not afraid to admit that. That's rare. In a world obsessed with quick conclusions and labels, your willingness to sit in emotional ambiguity sets you apart. It tells her that you're not interested in just knowing her like a checklist. You're interested in feeling her, in discovering her essence moment by moment. And because of that, she begins to feel safer opening up around you, emotionally and energetically. But timing and tone are everything. This phrase must not be delivered randomly or during idle small talk. It works best in moments of connection, perhaps when she shares a memory, when she laughs unexpectedly, or when there's a pause between you that feels emotionally full. That's when you look at her, not with intensity, but with gentle presence, and say it slowly, as if it just slipped out of your heart before your mind could catch up. You remind me of something rare, but I can't figure out what. Then stop. Don't explain it. Don't fill the silence. Let her live in it. Let her wonder. What happens next is subtle but unforgettable. You've now made her feel emotionally special without putting her on a pedestal. You've sparked her curiosity not about you, but about herself, and tied that exploration to your presence. That's the kind of emotional tether that doesn't wear off quickly. It stays with her. She may go home that night and think about your words. She may feel a little more valuable, a little more reflective, a little more drawn to you. Not because you chased her, but because you saw something in her that even she hadn't named yet. And that's the magic of this phrase. It's not a pickup line, it's an emotional mirror. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And in that whisper, it creates a feeling that's rare in its own right. A sense that maybe, just maybe, You're the first person who saw her, not just as attractive, but as quietly extraordinary. Emotional intelligence versus external validation. In today's world, compliments are everywhere. Social media is flooded with likes and emojis, comments about looks, hearts, fire emojis, and hearts again. You're so pretty. You're hot. You're gorgeous. These words come easily, quickly, and often without real thought. They may be kind and sometimes even sincere, but they rarely go deep. Most of the time, they're generic. And that's the danger. They're too familiar. When someone hears the same type of compliment again and again, no matter how flattering it may be, it starts to lose its meaning. It starts to sound like a reflex instead of recognition. And for women, especially those who hear these compliments often, it can feel exhausting. They might smile, say thank you, nod politely, but deep down, they know this person isn't really seeing me. They're reacting to the surface. That's why emotional intelligence is everything. It changes the game, not just in relationships, but in communication as a whole. Emotional intelligence means you don't just speak, you feel first. You don't throw out words carelessly. You observe. You notice the person in front of you. You're present with them. You take in their energy, their rhythm, their voice, their presence. And then, when you speak, your words come from a place of stillness and truth, not from habit or expectation. That difference is subtle, but it's powerful. It's the reason why a quiet statement like, "You have a unique way about you. I like that," can hit harder than the loudest praise. Because it says, "I see something different in you, and it matters to me." Let's look closely at that phrase. "You have a unique way about you. I like that." It's not flashy. It's not trying to impress. It's not specific to her looks or her clothes or the way she styled her hair that day. Instead, it speaks to something deeper. It speaks to how she is in the world. Maybe it's the way she listens. Maybe it's the way she gets excited when she talks about something she cares about. Maybe it's her calm energy, or her quick wit, or her awkward charm. You're not defining her, you're noticing her. And that's what makes it land so deeply. Because when you speak this way, when you offer this kind of recognition, you bypass her defenses. You skip the automatic filters that tune out common compliments. You reach something more private, her inner world. That's why emotional intelligence is not just about what you say, but how and when you say it. It's about timing. It's about being in the moment. It's about matching the energy of the interaction. When she shares something vulnerable, or laughs in a way that catches your attention, or expresses a thought you didn't expect, that's when your presence matters. That's when this kind of compliment becomes a gift. Not because it's clever, but because it's real. And real is rare, especially now. She might not respond in a big way. She might just smile. She might say thank you softly. But the depth of what she feels in that moment goes far beyond what her words show. She feels seen, not as someone pretty or stylish or socially accepted, but as someone individual. And that is something almost every human being longs for: to be seen beyond the surface, to be acknowledged for something they didn't even realize someone else noticed. That's the true impact of emotional intelligence. Now imagine how different the energy is when you come from this place regularly. Imagine how the room feels when you're someone who speaks less often, but with more weight. You don't need to flatter. You don't need to entertain. You don't need to talk endlessly. Your words already carry more because they come from deeper awareness. That kind of man is not common. That kind of communication isn't forgettable. It builds trust. It builds emotional attraction, not based on appearance, but based on presence. Because the truth is, most women are tired of being reduced to their image. They want someone who notices how they think, how they feel, how they light up when they talk about something they love. That is the space where connection begins. That is the level where intimacy forms. And the man who knows how to offer that, not in a forced way, but as a reflection of his presence, is a man who leaves an emotional impression long after he's gone. So the next time you speak, slow down. Notice. Observe. Let the compliment rise naturally from your genuine experience of her, not from your desire to win her over. Let your words come from what you feel, not what you think you should say. That shift, from performance to presence, from validation to observation, is what separates those who connect deeply from those who are quickly forgotten. Emotional intelligence is the bridge between words and impact. And when you walk that bridge with care and clarity, the person on the other side doesn't just hear you, they feel you. And that feeling is what stays. Speak with purpose. Speak with calm power. Speak less, but mean more. When your words come from grounded clarity and emotional insight, they land deep. She won't forget what you said, because what you said made her feel seen, appreciated, and mysterious. That's the power of Stoic attraction. If this message stirred something in you, subscribe now and become part of this journey. You're not just supporting a channel, you're fueling a mission to make these insights available to any woman who needs to feel seen. Comment unstoppable if you watched all the way through. And let me know which phrase felt most powerful. Share this video with someone ready to transform how they connect. Every like, every comment, every share changes someone's life. You're changing theirs and yours. Let's keep adding value together.